history at 9-0. Moved into the top 25 this week with a win over Louisiana Tech. Can you give us your final thoughts on that game and then some of your comments on the ultimate game coming up?
Yeah, obviously we're excited about being 9-0 and most importantly hosting the championship game. That was a big deal for us to be able to play for the championship here with Williams. And so pleased with that. I thought offensively played almost a complete game. We did have a hiccup on a turnover. Besides that, we controlled the line of scrimmage and were able to really be balanced, and really pleased with that. And going back and look at the video, we can play better special teams wise. Maybe didn't live up to the standard of the way that we've been playing the first 8 games. And then defensively, we just hit a rut there between the beginning of the third quarter, some of that fourth quarter, where weren't executing and playing and competing the way we're used to. Overall, thankful for the win. Know we got a huge challenge coming in. Obviously, got an in-state rival. I've got a lot of respect for Coach Ronnie and their program and how physical and how tough their players are. We know it's going to be a huge game. It's against a great opponent coming from a great conference, a respected conference. And so this will be a great barometer for us and see where our program really is. And our guys will be looking forward to being back here Saturday.
And Coach, how much do you talk about being an in-state rival? How much do you lean into that this week with the team, playing an in-state opponent, and it's not something you've done so far this year? And how much does that affect maybe recruiting and fan bragging rights, if you want to talk about that too?
I'm sure for fan bragging rights, it's a big deal. When you with your players, they're all from all different parts of the country. I don't know, because what's really unusual about this is you're playing your out of conference games so late in the year, and I think that's very unique and not really been a part of that where you play 2 like this from there. So we obviously talk about it when you have an in-state rival. I think that's a big deal, and our players are definitely aware of that. We're definitely aware of the conference, whose conference is better, all those things, and then you mentioned obviously fans love to beat somebody in state because they always compare themselves, but we try not to compare ourselves to anybody else. We want to be the program we're trying to be, but we know it's a big deal for fans, alumni, and we know it's a big deal for our conference, and it helps us. If we can go and beat somebody from another conference that is respected nationally, then that helps our conference. That helps our program and what we're trying to accomplish this year.
And talking about the national bragging rights or respect, maybe is a better word. You got ranked in the top 25 for the AP poll for the first time since you've been here, and third time in 4 years for the Flames. And CFP comes out tonight. How much does that help the program just from a national respect angle?
Well, I do think anytime you get ranked, that's a great honor, right? I mean, there's 120 or so that play, and you're one of 25 right now that is ranked in the country. It's a special deal, no matter how it happens, when it happens. And so I think that's great for recognition. It's great for your university, great for your program. We talked about it for about 2 seconds, and then we moved on, because here's the thing that I know is if you don't keep winning, they'll forget about you real quick. And so no matter what it is, and you don't play for the rankings, so to speak. You want to continue to play well and hope people recognize that. But it is a great honor, but not something we dwell on. But it is a cool thing. I've been part of that before, and there's not many that get ranked, and when you do, I think it's a special deal.
You talk about the offense and what it was able to do here this past week. I mean, I just look at the balance. 602 yards, 297 passing, what was it, 305, 302 rushing, whatever it was, and then 14 points in every quarter. I mean, is that as complete a game offensively as you guys have played this year?
I think so. We've had games where we've rushed the ball quite a bit, but maybe the passing yards not have been up. And I think you go back to Buffalo, where we ran pretty well, moved pretty well, but I think that game was a little up and down. This is the one that I think was most consistent as far as just, as I said, we had the one hiccup where we, hurt ourselves on a mesh, but besides that, we only punted one time, and we were really controlling and doing some things that we wanted to do. So it was the most complete one, and hopefully that's the type of balance. I'm not saying we're going to throw for 300, rush for 300 every game, but hopefully that's the type of balance that we can have and produce. And we're going to need to do that as you get into November. you got to be able to rely on, a run game that can get you through if there's bad weather and all those different things. And so, very pleased with how we played, Saturday offensively.
Something else I noticed with the guys after the game is just how much they emphasized playing for one another. And Noah really spoke to that. Quentin spoke to that. He said that he even voluntarily took himself out of the game so James could get in the end zone. How hard do you have to work to build that, especially when you've got a roster of basically 50% turnover and a new coaching staff?
Every day, every day you got to talk about it. And one of our values is purpose. That's our fourth core value of our program. And I think your purpose has to be bigger than winning, because everybody wants to win and everybody wants the result on the scoreboard, but you have to have a strong why, and we talk a lot about that and work hard to build that mindset, and that's not easy to do. And very appreciative of those guys, because we're in a it's about me type society, right? And it's hard to get a group of, we have 117 players, get them to come together for something common like that, a common purpose. And so that's something we don't take lightly. We talk about it all the time and remind why we play. And so, but that just shows you some examples like a Noah who, I said Noah leads the country in passes that have been called back, right? And he can complain about those, and he just keeps going. And then obviously Cooley and what he did for James, knowing James has been working hard. That says a lot about them. And you hope that that's the mindset that we get with everybody. But we coaching-wise, we work hard to try to make that happen.
Looking at ODU, they've had 8 straight games decided by 7 points or less.
It's unbelievable.
It really is. What type of challenges do they present on both sides of the ball for your team?
Well, I think one, I said it earlier, they're very physical and they're tough and they're resilient. That shows up. So they never think they're out of the game. They're always in it close. They find a way and they just keep believing. From a defensive standpoint, they play a unique defense that you don't see all the time, and they're very aggressive with that. And so it really makes you have to, I don't want to change your rule. I'm not saying change your rules, but do some different things to try to account for everybody. And they do a nice job of that and create turnovers. And then offensively, they're a spread lineup fast as you can. They spread the field. They're going to try to use every last yard of the field. And they do a really nice job of running the ball and mixing in, going as fast as possible, maybe faster than Jack State potentially, but also then using the clock to try to get in the best situation. So it's going to be very unique for us, because we're going to, not that we've not seen it, but we've not seen it with the type of athletes that they have, right? They've been coaches been there, I think 3 years coaching them with the COVID year. So they've recruited to what they want to be. And so he's got an established thing that he's trying to do. And this will be the best overall group of athletes and talent that we've seen from a team standpoint. And we'll have to be ready for that. So there's a lot of challenge there. And I think arguably probably the best special teams overall unit. They do a nice job there.
When you're facing a team that's resilient like that and keeps it close, how much more important does it make it with your defense in those later quarters playing their best football?
But we have to, right? And the last couple weeks we've not been as ourselves resilient, doing that. And you're anticipating, because of what they've been able to do, you anticipate it's going to be a close game, and they're not going to fold in any type of circumstances. But I believe we're the same way. But we do need to play our best. We can't play one of these games where one side of the ball plays pretty solid and the other side just okay. We've got to play 4 quarters when you play a good opponent in state that they're playing for a lot. They're trying to get bowl eligible, right? They got 3 games left and got to win 2 out of 3. So that they've got a lot they're playing for, not only the state bragging rights. Not that they care about us that much, probably, but so we know they're bringing everything. That shows it every week. They don't doubt themselves. They keep going, and but I believe in our guys as well. Our guys have to be ready to rock and roll too.
Coach, we have Mike Barber on the computer here from Richmond Times-Dispatch. He's got a few for you here. Mike, go ahead.
Morning, Coach. Thanks for your time.
Yep.
I'm curious, you guys at Old Dominion are 2 of the top teams in the country in terms of explosive plays. If you're looking at 30 yards or more, where does that element come from in your offense?
I think for us, it's we've been able to run the ball, and when you're able to run it, then people take chances. whether it's one-on-one or trying to do some different blitzes and things to stop your run, and that's allowed us to have some explosive plays in our play action. And so that's what's helped us, I think, have some of those big plays like that. We've not had a lot of big runs, had some, but more of it's been explosive pass plays off of play action stuff.
Talking to Ricky this week, he said Jamey Salter, your quarterback, doesn't really force the issue. It's almost like he's confident you guys are going to give him shots down the field. So if it's not there, he doesn't do anything dumb with it because he knows he's going to get another chance downfield. Has that been part of kind of the mentality to take those shots and trust him to make the right decision?
Yeah, the thing that he does so well is when you have an opportunity, if it's not there, he can get out of a pocket or get out of a mess and make a big play with his leg. And he's had 2 or 3 games where he's rushed for over 100 yards. That typically doesn't happen, and we're not calling a lot of quarterback runs. It's just more of some of what he does. That's his some of his ability. And so, but he is patient. He knows he's going to get chances to make some big plays. He's from week 1 to week 10 we're going into. He's made tons of improvement in just trusting and believing and knowing he's going to get those chances. And he's been really consistent the last few weeks. And but where he is dangerous is when people try to blitz or do some things and he gets away from it. He can hurt you with his legs.
To the untrained sports writer eye, it looks like your offense is not a carbon copy of what you had been doing at Coastal. It looks like a blend of that, maybe some things that Liberty had been doing a year ago, some adjustments to personnel. What's been the process of kind of creating this year's offense?
Well, you always have your identity and what you believe in, which we have that, and that's been the same since 2009, our first stop. But also, you have to adjust it to what your current players are and what they can handle. And so some of the things that we're doing here, maybe they were doing before, we try to add that in, right, because they were confident in it, and you use your personnel that you have. And so we've not gotten away from who we are, but also we've probably expanded more than maybe most people thought we would, at least the first year, just because of some of the things we were capable of doing with this current crew. Sometimes I've had it where you can't do any of it. You got to try to, and so I don't know how much I know, they kicked our tail last year to our previous place. I don't know how much we're doing that would help them from last year's field with this, because it's a little bit different.
You mentioned that this might be your most talented opponent to date. Does that make this a game that's, I don't know, a signature, but I think there's people out there kind of questioning, how good is Liberty? We know you're undefeated. We don't know about some of the schedule things. Does this feel like an opportunity to maybe legitimize some of what you've accomplished? Well,
in-house, we know what we've accomplished. We know how hard it is to win. It's hard. And so outside, though, from a national perspective, obviously the Sun Belt gets more recognition than what we do currently, our conference-wise. And so because of all the different changing and what's happened landscape-wise, right? And so anytime a conference opponent, we beat 2 MAC teams, this year. So anytime that our conference can go beat any other conference, I think it's bigger. I think that helps you represent your conference and helps legitimize what you're doing, right? And so, Bowling Green, who we beat earlier, they went and beat at Georgia Tech. Nobody talks about that, right? And so, but yes, from a national recognition, from a respect standpoint, anytime you can beat somebody from another conference, Sun Belt conferences, we're so close to some of those schools, right? I think that's a big deal. And now our fans probably want to more than anything. I'm sure they bicker back and forth on X and all those different things. And so for them, it's a huge deal. It's huge for us. We want to continue to win. Climbing anytime you can do that versus a great opponent from a great conference, I think that helps legitimize your conference. I don't think we have to legitimize what we're doing on the field, but I think from a conference standpoint, as we've had these new additions, I think that's an important deal for us to go represent our conference.
Got time for one.
Last thing for me, your scheduling philosophy. I know these games get scheduled sometimes 10 years out, but what is your scheduling philosophy in the non-conference to try to help kind of that perception of who you play?
Well, I know our AD and administration, we love to be, you play 1 P5, you play a couple G5s, and then whether it's a third G5 or an FCS school, depending on how, that's usually you're out of conference. Like we had a bunch of those lined up, and then once we went to the conference, you had to change some, and then also some dropped us because we were winning some of those games. Like next year, I think next year we have a Sunbelt school, we have an AAC school out of conference, and so an FCS, and then an FBS independent. So you're always working toward those things, but at the end of the day, no matter who you're playing, no matter what the strength of the record is, strength of the schedule, you got to go win them. You can, and as long as you're winning, I think that speaks a lot.
You got time for one more? Let's go to Emily Austin online.
I'll let her answer.
We're on our way to Greenville right now to get an interview with Larry with 1R Corn. Is there a Jamey Chadwell or maybe a Jamey Caldwell or any type of statue that we need to know about? Get some footage of?
Probably in one of the local restaurants that you probably it's probably not open yet.
No, really. Do you ever, reflect back to those days and how far you've come as a coach and where you are today?
Lord's been unbelievable, Emily. I mean, and I never would have thought that I'd be at this position and point in my life. And so those North Greenville days, those were hard and challenging, but occasionally, because there's so many guys with us that were originally, we'll talk about that. And we'll do that little meme, that guy that always goes, look at us, we'll say that, hey, look at us. And so sometimes you do. I think it's been amazing. You think you have all these plans, and he makes them the way he wants to, his will. It's been pretty cool.
All right, Coach, thank you.